Hello guys, welcome to today's episode. And on this episode, we're going to be discussing the top 5 cybersecurity breaches that took place in history. So stay tuned as we break down these breaches. Please subscribe to my channel for more educational videos on the cybersecurity. So here are the top 5 cybersecurity breaches in history, ranked by impact, scale, and notoriety. Number one is the Yahoo data breach that took place within the 2013 to 2014 era. And the records affected in general was an all about 3 billion Yahoo accounts. And the method was spear phishing and backdoor installation by Russian hackers. I've discussed spear phishing in one of my videos, so you can check the playlist, to get more information about it. And also, I discussed backdoor happenings, and what backdoor means in general. So the impact was massive loss of user trust and traffic. Also, Verizon reduced its acquisition price by $350 million. Wow. Multiple lawsuits and regulatory scrutiny. Why it matters? Largest known data breach. It's the largest known data breach by number of accounts affected. So here's a deeper dive into how each of the top 5 cyber breaches unfolded with technical details and attack. The initial entry for the Yahoo data breach was spear phishing email to a Yahoo employee that led to a network access. And the attack chain was that hackers, including the Russian agents, installed a backdoor on Yahoo servers. They stole a backup of the user database containing names, emails, phone numbers, and hashed passwords. They used stolen cryptographic values to forge cookies and bypass login authentication to it. Now, the exploitation, they forged cookies that allowed access to accounts without passwords, and attackers targeted specific individuals, that's journalists and government officials, using recovery emails. The failure points, whereby there was weak encryption and poor key management, that's from the Yahoo Mail servers itself. They had weak encryption and they had poor key management, and they had lack of intrusion detection and delayed disclosure. As I made in a video earlier, the use of IDPs and IPS. Number two is the Epsilon email marketing breach that took place in 2011. The records affected tens of millions of email addresses from major clients like JP Morgan Chase, Best Buy, and Target. Now, the impact, it estimated financial damage in the billions. Wow. It triggered widespread phishing attacks. And why it matters? Because it demonstrated how third-party vendors can be weak links in cybersecurity. So here's a deep dive into how it happened and what happened. That's how the whole thing took place. The initial entry was spear phishing, spear phishing campaigns that targeted employees of email service providers, that's the ESPs. And the attack chain, first it was malware that was installed via phishing links gave backdoor access. There were stolen credentials used to access ESP systems and download email databases. The attackers hijacked ESP servers to send spam and phishing emails. Now the exploitation. Over 1 billion email addresses were stolen, used for spam campaigns and fake software promotions, for example, the Adobe Reader scams. The failure points: lack of endpoint protection and email filtering, and also no encryption on stored email data. And next is number 3, Target's POS system breach that took place in 2013. And the records affected were 40 million credit and debit cards plus 70 million customer records. The method used was the malware that was installed via compromised third-party vendor credentials. And the impact was $200 million in damages. Major reputational damage as well. Why is it important? Because it highlighted vulnerabilities in retail systems and vendor security. And this was how it took place. Now, the initial entry was via HVAC vendor credentials compromised via phishing. The attack chain was where the attackers accessed Target's network through vendor portal. So they installed black POS malware on POS terminals, and the malware scraped credit card data from memory during transactions. Wow. Which means as transactions were going down, they were saving records of everything that was done. Now the exfiltration was data was sent to external servers controlled by the attackers. 40 million card numbers and 70 million customers' records were stolen. Now the failure points from the organization was there was poor network segmentation, that's vendor access to sensitive systems, and ignored alerts from intrusion detection systems. So it means this particular organization even had the IDPS installed, but they ignored the alerts. Wow. Number 4 is the Mirai botnet attack that took place in 2016. The method was hijacked IoT devices, the DVRs, the routers, and the cameras were hijacked to launch massive DDoS attacks. The impact was that it took down major websites like Twitter, Amazon, and Reddit, disrupted internet access across the United States and Europe. It's important because it exposed the dangers of insecure IoT devices and the scale of DDoS threats. Now, this is how it happened. The initial entry was when they scanned internet for IoT devices with default credentials. The attack chain: they used Telnet and SSH to log into devices like routers and cameras. They installed malware that turned devices into bots. They controlled via command and control servers. So the exploitation, it was launched. They launched a massive DDoS attacks. For example, the DYN DNS. So it took down Twitter, Netflix, Reddit, and more. So the failure points were insecure IoT devices with hard-coded passwords, no firmware updates or patching mechanisms. Number 5, we have the Move It transfer breach that took place in 2023. The records affected were 93 million users, 2,500 plus businesses were also affected. And the method was exploited vulnerability in secure file transfer software. The impact was over $10 billion in damages and affected governments agencies and private. It affected government agencies and private firms. It's important because it's one of the most recent and widespread ransomware-driven breaches. MoveIt is yet another case of zero-day vulnerability exploitation of an MFT service. This is how it happened. The initial entry was the zero-day SQL injection vulnerability in the MoveIt software. So they used SQL injection to inject the MoveIt software. And the attack chain was where attackers deployed custom web shell called the Lemur loot. It was disguised as an ASP.NET files. So it gained access to Azure blob storage and exfiltrated files. It deployed ransomware payloads via arbitrary code execution. The exploitation was it affected over 2,700 organizations and 93 million individuals in total. It was used for extortion and data theft by the CIOP ransomware gang. The failure point was that the organization had lack of input sanitization and patching, and they also had public facing servers that were exposed to the internet.